Buttonholes are easy with the right tools and stitches. So let's go ahead and go up to our stitch menu, come down to menu B, B for buttonholes, and select the first one. You're going to notice that you get a new foot on the screen, and it has that little red wheel. I want to show you something before I put this foot on. Number one, the red wheel spins, and there's a white line on the top. And as you move it, there is a white crown. These two need to be matched up prior to stitching, and if they aren't, the machine will actually tell you with a little message to line those two items up. So I always point those out before I put the foot on. You're going to go ahead and put the foot on like normal, like a regular presser foot. But this part here has a place that it plugs in. It goes straight up, kind of behind the needle threader. You can kind of feel for it or peek underneath. The key is that when you go to plug it in, that you get it to actually plug in all the way up to and into the unit. So sometimes people will push it up there and then it actually doesn't get all the way thing. Okay, let me stop talking so I can, there we go. I can feel it. And then sometimes you'll feel a little click, sometimes you won't. But if you don't get it pushed in all the way, when you start doing a buttonhole, it just keeps going and going and going. And that's your key that this is not plugged in all the way. Now, there's different buttonholes for different fabrics. So if you are using the sewing advisor and picking your fabric here and then picking letter or number 7, this buttonhole will change based on your fabric. Now notice this foot does not have, it says foot C, which is your other buttonhole foot, but it has no red wheel. That means you are in charge of doing it a little bit more on your own, but without that red wheel. So there's lots of different styles depending on your fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the most basic one, and it definitely, there's lots of choices that you can do here. So I'll show you the manual version in just a second. The next thing that you want to do, take your button and put it on the measuring tool right here. Let me go ahead and get a little lower. There we go. Do you notice that this has a little dotted circle? The circle is where the button goes for measuring. So put it at 0, and then over here I see that I'm at like 18 millimeters. So you can come to the screen and go ahead and put in right here how big your button is. That is all you need to do. Next, when you put your fabric in, do note that your buttonhole is going to start here and then stitch away from you and back. So that is something. So don't start at the edge of your fabric. You'll run out of room. You'll figure that out real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this in, and I'm going to, there's even marks on the foot so you can get it marked or started in the same place every time, which is awesome. So all I need to do is literally just put my foot on the foot control and go ahead and stitch. Put your hands in your lap because the machine's going to really do everything for you. The foot has little grooves underneath, so they're guiding the 2 satin stitches perfectly down through the foot, so it's not going to go sideways on you. And that little wheel is turning to make sure to tell the machine when to turn around. It will lock and cut for you at the end, so just keep your foot on the foot control until it stops. Voila, buttonholes. Then, when you are ready to stitch again, it's all ready to go. So that is perfectly measured for the button size that you put in. Even gives you a little bit of extra for the space and thickness. So if you have a thicker button, you need to maybe just bump it up a couple millimeters longer for that extra distance there. So depending on what fabric you're working with, if you're working with a knit fabric, so if we come over here to like a stretch medium, you're going to be selected to do, yes. That one's going to actually tell you to cord the buttonhole, which I'll show you also, but there is a stretch buttonhole. Let me just do that one real quick, and we'll do it with the manual buttonhole. So notice on screen that shows you where you're starting and which direction it is headed. So we'll just go ahead and put this in. But the thing is, let's see here. Can we put the length? No, we can't put the length in. So this is where you would mark your fabric for beginning and ending marks. Here, let's just do that so you can actually see. We'll mark a beginning and an end. Great. So what I'm going to do is put it at the beginning. Kind of get that set. Yep, we're ready to go. So it's going to go ahead and do the buttonhole. This one's actually like a little X. And notice, once I start stitching, there's a new symbol that comes up. That happens to be the same as the reverse button. What it's asking us to do is actually, when we get to the turnaround point, so there's my little mark, is to touch the reverse button one time. You'll notice that there's an arrow across the screen that's indicating what it's going to do next. and then it's going to come down. Now that reverse arrow is still on here because the machine, once again, does not know where we started. So we need to just go ahead and stop sewing when we get back down to where we started. Touch the reverse button again. That tells the machine you're ready for the bottom tack and the lock and the cut. So it will do everything for you. You just have to tell it how long you're actually stitching. Now the little X's in that buttonhole are nice because they're not as heavy. Usually knit is a lighter weight fabric and it will have a little give to it on a knits because it will stretch a little bit. So how about for fun, let's go ahead and just do a keyhole buttonhole. This one you can do with the regular foot, but you can also do it, here we'll just do it with the regular manual foot too. So we can go ahead and touch the reverse button. And then when we get down to where we started, we'll touch it again, and then it will go into the little key at the bottom, kind of that ovally satin stitch shape. And then touch reverse to end it. It'll end with some locking stitches. Now a keyhole buttonhole is great for a button with a shank of thread, of a shank, so like a coat button or something. That gives that little area a place for that thicker part to sit and turns out perfect. You even have a straight stitch buttonhole. That's good for leather, so if we actually had picked fabric that was going to be for vinyl, you're going to get the H foot, that is the non-stick foot, and then the appropriate buttonhole for that. We can also, from this screen, sew on buttons and do eyelets. We're going to go ahead and do those in separate videos, but I want to show you one more way that you can use these feet and do a corded buttonhole. One of these that actually set up for a corded buttonhole. Here we go. Look at what we have. We've got little cord that is set up to go around the back little hook of our foot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some cord and show you how this all works. So you take your cord and divide it in half. So I've got the loop of it, or center part, at the top here. I'm going to reach behind my foot, and you're going to notice that on the feet there's a little nub back here. I'm going to hook it around there, and it's going to lay in the two little grooves as we do it. So do that when the foot is on. So you're going to come underneath, hook it around the back side. And I kind of just hold it in one hand, put my fabric in to get it positioned where I want it to start, and we are all ready to go. Well, this is manual, so we'll go ahead and turn it around as we are ready. What it'll do is actually drag the cord with us. Here we go, that looks good. We'll touch our reverse button. There's the tack at the top, and then it's coming back down, but it's couching over this cord, or kind of encasing it inside the buttonhole. Here we go, there's where we started. Reverse button one more time. There's the tack, there's the lock, and the cut. Now what's really nice is, let's take a look. Oh yes, it actually looks much heavier. It's also stabilized, so that's why they recommend this for the stretchier fabrics. And then you just take the cord and pull. Watch this loop. It's going to disappear into the top of the buttonhole. And then all we need to do is take our scissors, and yes, you can put this on a needle and weave it, or take it to the back side of the fabric. A lot of times I just cut it because it's not really going to go anywhere, and then just cut it really close to the edge and give it a little pull, and that will just disappear right in there. So it is a very nicely felt buttonhole, and it is ready to go. So that's how you do an automatic buttonhole, keyhole, corded, and a manual version of all the different buttonholes on your screen.